I'm in Jenin refugee camp and I want to show you some of the damage that's been left behind here after 2 days of fighting. It was earlier this week that the Israeli military launched a major operation here in the Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank. The roads have been absolutely destroyed. They were ripped up by these big Israeli bulldozers. Israel says they were looking for explosive roadside bombs, but it's left this massive damage that you can see. In the same time, it's also ripped up water lines and power lines. So now a lot of this camp doesn't have access to power and electricity. Over the 2 days, they say they were looking for Palestinian militants, and there was a lot of gunfighting that took place. Most of the homes here now are littered with this, as you can see, bullet holes after bullet holes, evidence of what has been 2 days of brutal and bloody fighting. At least 12 Palestinians were killed. Israel says the majority of them were militants. A number of them were teenagers, and one Israeli soldier was killed during the fighting as well. But there are thousands of people in this camp who didn't take place in the fighting. We can just hear some gunfire happening at the moment, but that's a bit away from us. As I was saying, thousands of people here who didn't take place in the fighting, and this is what they've been left with. They say that they are now the victims of collective punishment by Israel. Just down this road, we've seen home after home that's been demolished or destroyed in the Jenin refugee camp. They've either been hit with missiles or grenades. Some have caught fire, and so there are now literally hundreds of people that have nowhere to live. There are fears of a major humanitarian crisis happening here.
I worked a lot, I suffered a lot to build this house. I made it beautiful. To come back and see my house destroyed like this is something I can't imagine. My kids and my wife, I haven't brought them here because I know how difficult this is going to be on them.
This has been the biggest Israeli military operation here in the West Bank in about 2 decades. The last time that anyone in the West Bank saw any sort of damage like this, extensive damage with roads being ripped up, homes being destroyed, it was during the second Intifada, the second Palestinian uprising in the early 2000s. And so people here have told us of their shock and disbelief at the military tactics that have been used. Aerial missile strikes, grenades, helicopter warships that have been dropping missiles into the camp. More than 1,000 on-the-ground troops that came in here as part of this military operation. Israel says it was targeting Palestinian militants, and it hasn't ruled out further operations like this in the future.